an internship is really important, right? If you want to choose academics after your graduation, I would urge each and every student that go for a 3 to 6 month internship minimum. Work 3 to 4 months, 6 months, and decide. It will help you in deciding. It will always add value.
Welcome to a one-on-one session with our thought leader, Mr. Ikshit Sharda with Seekho. Seekho is a micro-learning based community wherein you can learn anything under the sun in just 1 minute. In short, it's a community and a platform where knowledge meets seekers. Talking about our guest for today, Mr. Ikshit Sharda has an industry experience of more than 10 years and he's a HR business partner. Sir, I would like to hand it over to you now. We would like you to introduce yourself and just know a bit more about you.
Sure. Thank you, Kushi, and the entire team having me on board and giving me a chance to give my perspective, with my experience around HR and careers. Uh, I currently work with a non-banking financial corporation as a head of rewards, and I'm also an HR business partner. I've been working, in HR consultancy. It's being a consultant and an HR partner for about a decade now. Uh, to me, HR happens. You barely choose HR, so it happened to me in the first 2 3 years of my career. That's about it. Over to you to let me express my opinions and perspectives on anything.
Very interesting to know how HR came to you, and I would like to know about the same during the course of this conversation. So it's a matter of great pleasure to have you amidst us. Next, we are going to have a rapid fire section. I'll shoot 5 questions. You'll get about 2 to 5 seconds to think and answer, and
Okay.
make sure you're quick and your answers are quirky. So, are you ready?
Yeah, let's go ahead.
All the best. All right. So, question one: human resource in one word for you is
People,
people. All right. If you're asked to write a book, what topic would it be?
careers,
All right. If given an opportunity to go back and fix that one thing, what would it be?
mm, start what I had in my mind.
It was a tough one, but I'm glad you answered. At a networking event, you see Sundar Pichai standing alone and the perfect moment to crack a conversation. So, what would the topic be?
Pitch my HR startup idea to him.
All right. One lesson you learned from life and would like to share with others.
Be useful to people.
I'm glad you think that way. All right, so you were spot on and it was great. Now hopping on to the Q&A section, which is our main section. We'll have about 10 questions in the same. Starting with that, so tell us a little about yourself and what do you do currently?
Okay, so I'm currently working with a non-banking financial corporation, and I head compensation of benefits there, compensation and benefits, which is total rewards. I also am an HR business partner. It's a double hat role, mostly by choice, because for the last 4 5 years I've been consistently a business partner to a lot of teams and organizations. Wherever I go or wherever I'm, approached for a role, I always make sure that will I be, will I be connected to people and not just performing as a center of excellence leader. So that's the reason I double hat as not just a rewards guy, but also an HR business partner.
That's an amazing combination. So how does one decide whether to pursue career in HR or not?
Okay. As I told you, I believe it's my personal perspective that mostly HR happens to you. Uh,
Mhm.
when I talk to a lot of young folks who are graduating or doing their masters, right? They do not have a lot of idea about what's happening in the HR world because it's only when you get to the ground you understand HR, right? So genuinely somebody who thinks about well-being of people should think of being in HR, right? Because HR has now become very strategic, where you can make a lot of difference to people careers and someone's life, right? So you can be really really useful and be a career counselor to people. So if you think of people well-being, if you think of development of people, please think of HR as your career.
All right, that's a great heads up. So you just talked about being an HR business partner. What does that role specifically entail, and how is it different from an HR manager?
So I'd like to take your seat and reframe this question a little.
All
See,
right.
an HR manager is more of a designation, more of a yeah, it's more of a designation and not a role, right? An HR business partner is a role. So if I were to reframe, it would be: do you want to be an HR generalist or an HR business partner, right? Now, an HR generalist is a first point of contact, a go-to person who commonly works, sitting in the HR team to help people on multiple matters, right? An HR business partner is a very specific role where you get into the depth of a business. You sync yourself with the teams and work as a partner to them, right? Work as a strategic partner to them and not just be a reactive help for them as a generalist. So if I were to compare these two, an HR generalist's work is really important, but is more reactive, right? People approach you, you help them. People approach you, you help them on multiple matters. An HR business partner is mostly a proactive job, right? You got to be going extra mile. You have to be so eight of the 10 times, 8 of the 10 events need to be proactive, right? For you, you have to know the business, you have to know your people, you have to know the cultural depth of your teams to be an HR business partner and be a real partner to the team, where you can be a thought partner to them. You can be a thought leader to them and not just be reactive. So reactive versus proactive is a real differentiator.
Thank you so much for clarifying, the difference between role and designation, and the reactive proactive thing made it much easier. All right. So, what are some important HR metrics?
Um, See, I can talk to you about HR metrics for hours or days or weeks. It's a very deep project if I were to name. Uh, but if you ask me, Ikshit, what are your main things you would want to track in people? I'd say your employee engagement, uh, your key employee careers, right? You need to be identifying what are you doing with your most important key employees. How are you making sure their career progression is happening, right? You should also measure your voluntary attrition, because that gives you a sense of in what pockets people are leaving you. Where is the problem, right? And honestly, these metrics are sometimes or mostly easy to measure, uh, but very difficult to find a solution and you know uh, improve these metrics. So more than just measuring these on a regular cadence, you got to be working towards uh, enhancing or overcoming your challenges you see within these metrics. So top three,
Hmm.
if I were to name, would be employee engagement. How are you engaging your employees? Your attrition, the nature of attrition, not just percentages. So percentages are just identifiers, right? They just give you you can just they can just identicate you. But what are the key problems? What are the pockets? And your key employee careers, right? You got to identify your top 20, 20, 20, 30%, and what are you doing with their careers every 3 to 6 months. You should, depending on the stage of the organization, you should nudge on this.
All right. So you rightly mentioned that the challenges can be measured easily, but the solutions to those particular challenges are difficult to find, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah. So my next question to you will be: how can one increase employee productivity and engagement at work? Some ways.
Uh, Glad you asked this question. It's mostly a hot question in organizations where HR has a seat at the table. Uh, See, productivity and engagement. If I were to go deep, these are two very different things. But let's take it in a very broad sense. I would say it's somewhere related to how are you measuring your employee engagement, yeah, right? You got to be very careful in seeing that, okay, so get to the productivity levels and engagement. You need to understand, are your employees happy doing what they are doing, right? Because to me, best of the compensation structures and best of the cultures might not help if your employees are not liking what they are doing. We are here to work, that's primary, right? So you got to be measuring that, is your talent perfectly placed with their capabilities, skill set, and are they doing the meaningful work that is required to be done? Otherwise, somebody being paid 2x of the job they are doing will also might not stay or be productive if they don't like the work, right? So you got to make your work interesting. You got to measure your people first, that what are my roles and what do these roles mean for me in an organization, and then marry it with the skill set that you have, right? You cannot retain a very smart person if she's not doing intelligent work, meaningful work. So try to marry your roles and your skill set, and you will see that your productivity is constantly increasing. Otherwise,
Hmm.
so no other solution I think will work to enhance productivity. Marrying your roles with the skill set is really important to kick off the productivity enhancement projects.
Okay. So placing the people with the right skills in the right roles, right?
Absolutely, yeah.
That's the
and
key.
and, and measuring it. Sometimes what happens is that we hire people for a role,
Hmm.
anticipating our with according to our vision, we anticipate this job will be worth this much work and this level of complexity. Let's go and hire a smart and simple guy. What might change in 6 months or 12 months, and especially in these times when everything is so unpredictable and volatile, that your roles might change. The complexity required for that role might change. So what will happen is that the person is skilled at a very high level, the complexity is too low, the person's getting paid, right? You're not cutting down the pay. But what will happen is that this gap might disengage and further hit your productivity levels. So you got to bridge this gap, make sure your people are engaged in meaningful work on a regular basis, and you see your productivity will be outstanding, I believe.
Hmm. I get you. So I feel that the interview and 1 hour interview is too less to gauge the people's, process, how they think and how they work and what's their skill set. And as we evolve with time, I think the requirements of a job change. So, there will
Yeah.
be this delta there which needs to be fixed.
Absolutely. Yeah, to the
Yeah.
point you
So,
are.
what are some challenges according to you a startup might face in the HR domain?
Uh, I think so. I've worked in about three startups in the last 7 6 7 years. So most of my career is now where I worked with startups. Now I can put startups and emerging organizations in the same bucket. What I've seen as challenges are the volatile nature of the business in startups, the unpredictability. Uh, is actually so it requires a lot of flexibility. So the challenges I've sometimes seen from an HR's perspective is that, one, you need to identify the talent that you are attracting and retaining for your organization basis the nature of the person, that the person needs to be very adaptive, right? They need to adopt to the situation, they need to be very fungible, and very flexible to the situations, so the varying situations, right? So this one challenge, sometimes we get great people, but they might not be very flexible, which is, which is the one thing that is common across all the startups, right? Your vision, your plan changes quarterly, not even by years, because you don't have a lot of years, right? You have a couple of months or years with you. So you got to be really fast paced. Second, you need to, you need to have a strategy to retain the best talent. Attracting is definitely a challenge, because startups are not cash heavy, right? So and the good part is that you're expensive. Your best talent might be expensive, not, if not always, mostly, right? If you, anybody who cuts your bar is sometimes, or mostly out of your budget. So how do you attract these people? So attracting is just a one time effort, right? While recruitment, you need to tweak a couple of things here and there, and then try to attract. So you might solve attracting or hiring the talent, but retention of that key talent is really important, right? Because sometimes it might get frustrating. You have a vision, you're about to crack your aim, but you slip, right? You don't really succeed to what you've thought, but that's okay. That's the beauty of a startup, that you learn, you fail, you learn, you fail, you go again, you win, right? So how do when you're struggling, learning, failing, making mistakes, learning, failing, and when you win, so how do you make sure that your talent is engaged with you, right? Because you're not cash heavy, you can't throw money at this problem. So the second one after unpredictability is your retention strategy. uh, there are solutions. I'm just talking about the problems. I have a lot of solutions also to talk about, but with keeping time into consideration, I'm just telling you the problems. Uh, how do you make sure there's a structured way of creating your HR ecosystem? Another challenge I've seen in startups is that they take HR seriously when they've hit to a certain level, right? Let's say an example, when a startup reaches a 250 member team, they start taking HR seriously. What happens is that by that time, a lot has already been inculcated to your organization's culture, right? So it's a mix of a lot of things. Your policies might not be at place. Your diversity is not at the right place. By diversity, I mean the thought diversity, the cultural diversity, not just gender, right? Might not be at the right phase. You might just feel that, okay, I might be doing something uh, opposite to the employment laws, because there's no expertise in your organization who is working full time in creating a concrete, a solid, a robust HR ecosystem. So this is also a very common challenge I see in startups, where we take HR seriously a little too late. I think you should always kick off with a great HR partner. You might have a very lean team, but have somebody who can think, who can be a thought partner to the co-founders. Otherwise, what happens is that HR becomes very reactive and very monotonous and very, I would say, operational is the right term, rather than strategic. So have a strategic partner with you from the start of your business, and you will see how you expedite your growth, productivity, engagement levels.
All right. So summarizing this whole answer, I think change is the only constant in the startup world, and keeping that into consideration, hiring people who are accommodative in nature and flexible, so that they can work well in that unpredictable environment is very important. And then the next thing is retaining the key talent. And
Yeah.
one more important challenge is, neglecting the HR domain in the startup, in the infant stage or the nascent stage, which is wrong. So coming to that, how do you think a startup should organize its HR structure or ecosystem?
Uh, I think my the third point in my last question somewhere relates to this one. I believe, see, it purely depends on your model. So there's no one right answer to it. And when it comes to HR, there's never one right answer. Anybody who gives you a book that this is a book, this is the right answer, don't believe that, right? Don't believe it. Every organization is different. right? Every organization is different. They are culturally different. They are different by the vision. They are different by people. So the HR also has to be differently designed, right? Some organizations to start might need a team of 4 or 5 folks, a very lean team of 4 or 5 HR folks who are independently working on recruitment, operations, rewards, or learning and development, right? But an umbrella answer to this would be that find people with multiple talents, right? Because you don't want to be people heavy in HR, right? You don't want 10 people for a 150 member or a 200 member organization. Keep the team very lean. Create as many double hat roles as possible. Create real HR VPs who can get to the ground, who will bridge the gap between the CEO and a fresher, right? Get somebody who can hear the fresher's perspective and bring it to CEO's table for discussions in a meaningful way. So get some solid, smart people who can lift more than just one functional expertise, right? For example, get someone who can do both TA and business partner role, right? Don't force fit. Don't find someone with a 20-year TA experience and ask, expect them to be an HR business partner of a 20-member team and hire, right? Get smart young folks who can play a dual role, cover depth of one center of excellence role. For instance, hire somebody who has compensation and benefits experience or who has learning and development experience along with skills of an HR business partner, where the person can go deep within the teams, engage with people, understand people. You got to connect with people. An HR partner should be somebody whom the employees blindly have a faith on, that I will go. I find a solution or not, that's a different thing. My conversation would be heard without any biasness, right? So find very lean structures for yourself. Few people, smart people with decent experience, and can handle one center of excellence at least, with one common, common problem for you to can solve, like a recruitment or learning and development. Do engage people in learning and development. Don't think that training. There's this term people use. Okay, on the job training. Let them learn by doing. Let them learn by doing. That's fine. It's important. It's part and parcel of. If you have solid guys, then they'll always do that. But go and invest in training. Go and invest in learning, right? How do you make sure your people are regularly made to learn and train them? Because see, what mostly happens is that you got a very young force in a startup, and as you grow, as your growth proliferates, you realize that a lot of people who joined me in the initial years of my career have not uh, you know come along with us. They are still there, somewhere there. They have not developed themselves in certain things. Could be by team management skills, or could be your communication skills or leadership skills. So you make these people leaders because you actually took a bet on a lot of people who were starting their careers or who were in the first 10, 15 years of their career. You got to develop them. You got to be responsible in making them young leaders. So constantly engage your people in training and development. Create a very lean HR team who can do multiple roles, not a generalist role, but multiple roles, like one solid COE role and an HR business partner. So create double hat roles, very lean, smart HR teams. That's about it.
I think this one answer is going to help people with so much, whoever is going to listen to this. So, thanks a lot. Um,
Okay.
what should students select according to you? A brand name or learning when they go out for internships, per se?
Learning totally. I mean, I think don't go for brand names only. There are brands which also give you learning opportunities. It's not that you go to a Microsoft or a Google, you'll only get a brand and not learning. Conversely, you might get an internship role in a Microsoft or a Google, but still not get learning. So students are smart. They can choose, but don't choose brand or don't choose learning, right? Choose the right role what is that you will learn in what brand, right? So it's a blend of a lot of things, right? You got to be smart in choosing what you want to do and take risks. That's fine. I think the generation today is risk averse. The appetite of risk is really high, so it's okay, right? It's not that I've interned in, let's say, and I'll take IT as an example. Let's say I've interned in manual QA in Amazon. It doesn't mean my career will always be as a quality assurance person in, or manual testing or whatever, right? You can always switch careers, you can always learn more. So intelligently pick a blend of learning and brand. If you have an option that, okay, either learning or brand, go for learning, no doubts. But don't also just stick to learning only. See if you can get a blended experience, in any organization. But if A and B, if I were to choose an A and B, B is learning, I'll go for B, learning.
All right. So I feel that the people around me, so I'm also a student studying at Sri Ram College of Commerce currently, and I think a lot of students around me are risk lovers. They're ready to go for something they love to do, and even if they aren't paid for the role or if the branding isn't huge, they still go for it. So I think the current mindset does tilt towards learning, and I hope that remains the case in the future as well. Um, so, does interning at startups give students the real essence of working as a professional in the future, according to you?
Yeah, absolutely. I was just about to extend my answer. I'm sorry if my answers are getting a little bit lengthy. It's a topic that is very close to my heart. So I keep on talking and on. I go on and on sometimes. See, I think an internship is really important, right? If you want to choose academics after your graduation, if you want to pursue your masters and have a thought of doing PhD, still I would urge each and every student that go for a 3 to 6 month internship minimum, right? It will enlighten you, it will give you a different perspective. It will help you choose between, it will help you choose the right direction for your career. Do you want to choose academia, or do you want to pursue work? If you want to study, what do you want to study? So go and figure out a good internship for yourself. Work 3 to 4 months, 6 months, and decide. It will help you in deciding. It will always add value.
All right. Yeah, I've been interning with CPFI and it's only been some time. I still feel that it has broadened my horizons a lot and given me some sort of clarity as to what I want to do in the future. And also, learnings about the edtech sector, which is great. So I totally support you on that.
You're a live
Um,
example then.
Lastly, sorry.
You're a live example then.
Uh, that is true. All right. So, lastly, my last question to you is: what is your advice for aspiring students and professionals building their careers in HR?
Okay. See, that's a difficult one because by responding to this on a platform of yours, I am taking ownership of guiding people to careers. But I'll try to give my perspective. I would say if you want to build your careers in HR, start from the basics, right? Two things if you can just do or follow. One, find a mentor, right? In the HR field, find a great mentor whom you aspire to be like, right? Don't Second is, don't be transactional, be a people person. A transactional HR will always be a transactional HR, right? Okay, data comes in, data goes out. Excel sheets, reports, all that is fine. It's important to be data driven, right? But then please connect with people. Please be a great listener. Understand people. Understand different mindsets. Start connecting with people, right? You got to be inside of the business. You got to be within the people. You got to be within the people to be a great HR in your career. So stay connected. The best leaders I've ever seen, you know mostly sit outside of their cabin and not in their cabins when it comes to HR. Their most of their day is around people and not in their cabins. So go out, talk to them, make sure that they trust you. Only then you will know the real problems and you'll solve it. Otherwise, things are coming to me and I'm hearing from a different perspective, or maybe an unconscious biasness. So it's better always to get there, connect with people, think of their well-being, be a people guy, right? Be a people person, and you'll do great in your HR career.
I love the quip that you used for being a successful HR professional, sitting outside the cabin and not inside the cabin. That's something really nice. And I really hope that everybody who will listen to our conversation will gain a lot of insights from this and will become a successful HR professional. And thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you so much for sparing out the time. And it was just amazing talking to you. Thank
Thank
you.
you so much.